we still have a feudal system.
Yeah.
Something that was around, that caused, really, I don't think Britain has really staged successful revolution ever. It's always been, we will replace one dictator with another,
Yeah.
It's always, we fail to displace the dictator.
Yeah. Well, we beheaded our king, Craig. But what did we do? Cromwell became a military dictator.
Yeah.
And then we invited the Dutch royals, didn't we? Was it the Dutch royals? I think it was.
Yeah.
After then.
We replaced basically Mao with Stalin.
Oliver Cromwell, Craig, was no George Washington.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, but that was the basis for the American Revolution, I think, on some level. It was kind of similar.
Yeah, it was taxation without representation, and basically getting killed for no reason, and being serfs to the king. Who didn't even have any perception of, in a way, it can be mirrored today.
Yeah.
Our politicians, or at least the mainstream politicians, don't have a very, you can't understand a lot of what we go through, a lot of what we do. And then when they do think, I mean, obviously power corrupts. These people have been in power for 13 years, or they're used to it. It's kind of
they don't give a shit, Craig. They've probably got, I don't know, some kind of golden parachute from I don't know, the Rothschild family or something, right?
Yeah.
They'll get paid off well when they're done.
Gordon Brown is the globalists, wet dream. He is epitome of, well, I don't. Oh, and what I was going to say is, I was sitting in history yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that during the unification of both Italy and Germany, there were people who were saying, we want worldwide governance.
Really?
We want. I think the guy was. He's one of the fighters of the Italian unification, and he wanted a single European superstate.
Really? Oh.
Back then. And because the natural progression of people who want to unify, right?
Yeah.
Because at this period of time, Italy was a series of little states.
Yeah.
There was Rome and then, papal states, and there was all these other areas. And same with Germany, had bits of Prussia and little states. It was kind of like lots of little Switzerlands,
Yeah.
everywhere, with different laws. And like, unification was kind of wanted by the people there. They wanted to be their own nation. But that was kind of like a reflex action to, the power of Britain and the power of France. So the German people, in a sense, wanted to, create their own nation, and that's as did the Italians. But like the people who pushed for it, they pushed for it in different ways. And the way that eventually, obviously, as the one that took over was the military way of that's why Germany and Italy were so susceptible to fascism.
Mm-hmm.
They got used to being unified by militarism, and fascism kind of is the next step, if you will. Because when you unify, the people who do it kind of think, what next?
Yeah.
Can we have more? Hence Hitler. So, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like the next step.
Yeah.
So even if you look at the European Union now, Von Rompuy and the people who at the top of that are thinking, what's next? What can we do next?
Well, I'll tell you what's next, Craig. Historically, what's next is war, based on history. Either war or some kind of crackdown, or both. Right? I mean, that's what they do. They sell themselves to the people so they can get into power, and then once they're into power and they control everything, people realize that first of all, nobody can control everything well, and second of all, how inadequate these people are. Even if you wanted a controller of everything, these people aren't very, even remotely good dictators. And so, once they're exposed as being completely inadequate, they have to do something. They need an external enemy or an internal enemy, right? And that's what they're going to create, I think.
even in... Yeah. In Von Rumpy's case, you don't even have to sell yourself. You know, you can just take a position up.
Well, yeah. But it's all based on the support of the majority of the people. So what they need to do is have a scapegoat. It's classic. Even the communists killed Christians, Ukrainians, Chechens, you know, and whoever. So it works the same way. But
like I say, like there's people even back then who were part of the New World Order, part of the strive for worldwide global governance. You know.
Yeah. Well,
basically, and you know, it's been a constant threat, and the only thing that stops it is, you know, nationalistic, you know, a desire to protect one's nation, and you know, that sense of, you know, something bad's not happening, that is happening, and then, you know, you get a clash, and it happened with, you know, I mean, obviously, I think Hitler was just a puppet himself.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, that could have been easily stopped. You know,
he could not have risen to power without the British and American bankers. There's no way. I mean, the way that he was funded from New York, Hitler. There's no way. You know, there's a lot of stuff about that, but like basically during the war, I'm sure you've probably heard of Trading with the Enemy Act and all this. How people like the Rockefellers had actually been supporting Hitler, and Rockefeller's Standard Oil had actually been giving Hitler oil during the war. Hitler
had to finance his war through Switzerland.
Yeah.
You know, use banks in Switzerland.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Flow the money through. And what I'm saying is, like, Hitler, people say that the reason for the conflicts of the 20th century, the early 20th century, was the relationship between France and Germany. But I say, you know, how does war occur? War occurs with capital. You need capital to buy the basics, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously you need manpower, you know, but you need capital. And without capital, it doesn't matter if France and Germany have a hatred or have a conflict. It can't occur, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's just how they rewrite history, though, Craig. I mean, I believe that in the future we'll be hearing about how, there was so much hatred between the West and Muslims in the Middle East, you know. Like, but I can tell you honestly, I bet if you asked plenty of ordinary German and French people in the 30s whether they wanted a war, I think they'd quite honestly tell you the truth about whether they wanted a war or not, you know.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, even in history, this week, it was said that, I was told that, ordinary people, you know, on the brink of the First World War, you know, after, in the 1900s, if you asked a Frenchman, if you asked an ordinary German, which had just been unified, and was expanding rapidly, and this was granted after, the Boer War, and after the scramble for Africa, which made it so blatant in the eyes of historians, at least contemporary historians today, made it blatant that was the precursor for the First World War. Even in the wake of that, if you asked an ordinary German, an ordinary European even, what would happen? Would there be a war? They would tell you, get away. No, there's no chance.
Exactly.
But you know.
No, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
More of an example of that it's predetermined, you know, that it just, there has to be something behind it.
Exactly. It comes back to that quote, Craig, by the famous Nazi quote. I don't have it with me in front of me right now, but it's the one, you know, of course the people don't want war. I forget exactly what he says, but he says all you have to do is say you are under attack and denounce the peacemakers for lack of patriotism, right? He says it works the same way in any country.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we see today. It's how wars happen, really, you know.
When you look at what the conservatives in America do to people who denounce the war.